Hi, I'm Nate Ryan, host of the NASCAR and NBC podcast. Every week, we're talking to drivers, crew chiefs, and other personalities in the NASCAR industry, as well as NBC sports analysts like Steve Letarte, Kyle Petty, Dale Jarrett, and Jeff Burton. The conversations are always informative, insightful, and occasionally quite a bit lively, too. So give us a listen and subscribe to the NASCAR and NBC podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts.
With the Leisureman, the Leisureman, the Leisureman, the Leisureman, the Leisureman.
Welcome to the Midweek Leisureman podcast. I'm Andrew Perloff. He's Paul Pabst. Paulie, it is the end of summer, and it feels like it is mid-July. This isn't football weather, Paul. This is all wrong.
It's terrible. I'm sweating right now. Got home from work, getting ready to do the podcast. It's completely sweating outside. Also, I need to cut the grass. The grass should be all cut. I don't think I've done a good job preparing for the fall. I'm embarrassed.
Now, are you planning to put on a couple pounds, sort of spend some quality time on your couch? I think that's really, it's that. I don't care what the weather is. I'm going long sleeve. How about you?
Well, yeah, my plan for tonight, for the games over the next couple of days is really get my rest. Like how I learned from J.J. Watt, as far as getting 9 hours of sleep, that kind of thing. I'm going to do a lot of napping on Fridays, to set up. Because really for me, you're more the NFL guy, I'm more the college guy. Saturday, I start watching college football. I think I watch College Game Day around 11 a.m. And then I go from noon till about 1 in the morning, sometimes later than that with the West Coast games. So that's like a 13-hour stretch of doing almost nothing while watching football. You can't do that unless you're well-rested.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way, but I will take breaks. So I love game day. I always fall for every feature. I love seeing the bear give the lines and all that stuff. But the 12 o'clock games, they always disappoint me, Paul. How do you get through those?
You got a good point. Sometimes, and I hate to admit this because I'm a hardcore college football fan, those noon games, if it's like Maryland, Rutgers, and I don't have a lot to choose from, I'll usually find like a third-tier game. Like the other day I watched, I think it was like it was New Hampshire, Maine. I think it was watching it in standard definition. It was standard definition. Who has that anymore? And I enjoyed that game, but because I was like, at least it feels like a tight game, not one of those kind of second-tier D1 games.
So you prefer that to, say, Indiana versus Maryland or those terrible big conference games, the early games. So you have to be a gambler, right?
If it's like, let me give you an example. If I don't want to make fun of any teams, but like if Iowa State is playing Kansas State and that's the feature game, I may go run an errand or two, at least for the first half, because I can miss the first half of that game and it won't affect my life a lot. No offense. Yeah.
So, Paul, you want to bring up, every year about this time we have a debate, pro versus college football. I kind of argue that they are the verses. You can love both. But I'd like to hear where you stand in the year 2018 on the balance as a fan, where you are between pro and college football.
Well, I've always liked the college game better. The atmosphere, the game day experience, the fact that the teams there's more creativity with the offenses in college football. I like the big numbers, the big scores. I like that a game can finish 52-51, even though it's weird. I think the big thing, and I hate to admit it, that the NFL just dominates college football is the NFL is not predictable. From year to year, you really don't know who's going to win it. Now, don't give me the Patriots are in it every year. No, the Patriots aren't in the title game every year. If anyone would have said when Carson Wentz went down last year that the Eagles were in the title game and win it over Tom Brady, no one would have bought it. Like if you said this year that, what's a team that's kind of random? Let's say UCLA is going to rise up and win the national title. UCLA with Chip Kelly in his first year. That's not going to happen. It's a fact that it's not going to happen. It's not an opinion. Alabama is going to be in the Final Four. Clemson's probably going to be in the Final Four. The predictability of college football, it's much more predictable. God, the NFL has them by a mile in parity, and I mean that in a good way.
I agree. I mean, you could say with some degree of accuracy the Patriots are there every year. They've been there. I'm looking at now. They were there last year, the year before that, 2 years before that. Then they are a weird anomaly, though, in today's NFL. I'll argue with you at one point. Georgia, no one really saw Georgia last year, and they came real close. They were ranked 15 preseason. They're not 15 teams in the NFL. Were they a bit of an outlier?
a little bit of an outlier. That just shows you how much, college football, you can't be that much of an outlier at Georgia. But Georgia was interesting because of their quarterback situation. When they went to Eason, who was the big cannon in town, to Jacob Fromm, that is a little bit similar to what the Eagles did last year. They just didn't pay it off.
So have you been reading any of the predictions? I read all the predictions, the NFL predictions. And talking about, you're exactly right about unpredictability. I can't make any sort of sense of the trends in the NFL picks. Almost every top 10 team, I've seen some mix of them in the Super Bowl. The Steelers, the Patriots, the Saints, the Falcons, the Chargers. I have no idea. If I was like a casual fan from England or something, I would have no idea who's going to be in this year's Super Bowl.
Well, I guess you could look at your picks and how dangerous your picks are. I have a little bit of a philosophy that you have to factor in injury. And, if the Packers lose Aaron Rodgers, they're going nowhere. You look at the Eagles, they went very far with a good backup quarterback. I don't even know who the Packers backup quarterback is. I think it's Deshaun Kaiser. They're not winning the Super Bowl with him. But I don't like the talent around him. Sometimes I try to go away from the quarterbacks and look at the talent around the quarterback in case they go down. Like, we were on the show the other day with the Dan Patrick Show, and some dude called in and started talking about how the Seahawks have rebuilt their defense in a quiet way. And you and I are sitting out there looking at it like, and it was like Ted from Kenosha, and he just happens to be a Seahawks fan. And he goes, the Seahawks picked up all these different guys, and you and I are looking at each other like, the Seahawks, we shouldn't be sleeping on the Seahawks, just because it was the last person we heard talk.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, actually, I was talking about the Seahawks in the preseason. They were murdering people. That defense is actually pretty scary. They faced my guy Case Keenum in week 1. Not excited about that. But I'm right. I'm totally susceptible. The thing is, none of it means anything. It's complete media fluff. I hate to say it because I've been in the prediction business a million times. You said it yourself. Right. Injuries are everything. You can't predict injuries. It's totally random. Nobody saw Deshaun Watson or Rodgers
coming up in a few minutes. We're going to talk to former Eagles running back Brian Westbrook. He played a pretty long career in the NFL. He's one of those all-purpose backs. His career was, as all running back careers, ended a little early due to injury. But one thing I want to ask Brian Westbrook is, do you think young kids or people who are like 15, 16 look at the running back position and say, it is so tough to get and keep a job and get paid at that running back position? I wonder if that'll trickle down at all to 15, 16-year-olds and say, you know what, I'm going to be a defensive back. There's 5 defensive back spots on a roster, 6, maybe up to 8 defensive back spots on a roster. I could have twice as long career playing DB over running back.
Yeah, but there's still that mystique of having the ball in your hand. The running backs get all the mark. Nobody's marketing a defensive back. All the marketing money is receivers, running backs, and quarterbacks. So there's still something to that position. I think, it's funny, in high school, the best athlete always plays quarterback. At least that's the way it was when I was a kid. And then they become running backs. I would still want to – I want the glory. I'll be a receiver, boy. Which would you do?
If I could pick any position to play and you took away quarterback, cornerback, it seems like so much pressure, though. I mean, you have to run around all day, and you hope the ball is not thrown to you because you're so good at it. You feel like you're out on an island, and I don't like that. I feel like in a bad way I was out on an island. I think I'd like to be a tight end. You get to hit some people, you get to go out passes, you get a little glory, you get to rough it up. I think I'd like to be an above-average tight end.
Isn't that tight end from Yale who had Eric Johnson? Isn't he married to somebody famous?
Who's
he married to? Jessica Simpson?
Nick Lachey's ex-wife, Jessica Simpson.
Yeah, so there you go. You can totally do well as a tight end. You're right. And Jason Witten's on Monday Night Football?
I think Eric Johnson had 1 season with 80 catches, and he parlayed that into Jessica Simpson. That is underrated. He should be in some type of Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, he is for real. Tight end, the new glory position. I love it, Paul. But I'm not sure Brian Westbrook's going to agree with you. Let's get my former Eagle. I'm going to call him my former Eagle. Dude, do you remember how awesome he was with Andy Reid?
You loved him. You did. You loved him.
Oh, yeah, because the game could be going, you never knew, but when Westbrook would get a screen and he would go to the house, so many games I remember exactly like that. Let's bring in Brian here in a minute, Paul. All right, Paul, it's football season. That means it's Guinness season as well. What do you have on tap for this first NFL weekend, buddy?
Well, let me tell you something. My first tailgate of the year, and I'm bringing some Guinness. I'm going to bring a little American Blonde. I'm going to bring some Blonde and some Draft, and I'm bringing it up to the Rhode Island home game. I'm going to ease into the season, drive up to Rhodey, love the light blue, dark blue uniforms. But when I unveil my tailgate up there to the bros, Murph is coming by, Meeker may come by, I think Moose may come by, and they see that I got Guinness at the tailgate, they'll know I'm serious. And that's what you do. Don't just get that average light beer or whatever you're going to do at your tailgate. Spice it up a little bit. Get a little Guinness at your tailgate. They'll know you're serious.
Well, I tell you, Paul, I'm from suburban Philadelphia, so growing up, I don't think we really tailgated at Villanova, but we would have, which leads me to our next guest, former Villanova star and Eagles star, Brian Westbrook. Brian, before we get started, do you want to brag about Villanova beating Temple in football?
Absolutely. Anytime that we can play Temple, I want to brag about it, because we always beat them: football, basketball, baseball, soccer, hockey, swimming, everything. We always beat up on Temple, and I'm always going to be excited about it.
I'm from Lower Merion, so I used to sneak into DuPont and play some hoops. Did you play basketball on that court ever?
I did. I played too much basketball on that court. That's probably why my knees are hurting as we speak.
All right, Brian, before we talk about this season, I want to go back to last February. Where were you during the Super Bowl, and did you get emotional at the end of the game when the Eagles won?
I was, for the Super Bowl, I was in the stadium watching the game with all the other crazy, excited Eagles fans. I was emotional. I didn't cry or anything like that, but I certainly was happy for the team. I was happy for the city and the organization as well. Those guys, they overcame an awful lot last year. Injuries, setbacks, things like that, to be able to win, to be able to bring in the Super Bowl, but also to win it. And I was impressed. I was happy for the town. And really the fans, probably the most I was happy for them, because they waited for such a long time for the Eagles to celebrate a championship.
Hey, Brian, I work with Andrew Perloff, and he's a hardcore Eagles fan. I was sitting next to him at the game. We are now in uncharted territories for Eagles fans. They are now the defending Super Bowl champions. I think they're confused of how to be in life. I'm a Cubs fan. A couple of years ago, I was confused. I didn't know what it felt like to win. They feel like lottery winners before they really have the money. There's a confusion. What's it like to be, because you're a former player, but you're also a fan? This is weird for them.
Well, you know what? It is a little weird. I think we were so invested in last season and winning it. Now we're just not sure if we can figure out how to get back hungry again. And the Eagles fans, they've been so passionate about it for so long, and they wanted that Super Bowl for so long. Now that they got it, I think you're right. We are in a weird position. But the truth is, at this point, the Eagles and the organization, and certainly the fans, have to figure out to find that passion to get longevity. We want to be like the Patriots, to be relevant for 15 years, 16 years, with our team winning multiple championships. That's what it's all about. Our fans will find a way to get that passion back. I think it starts tonight.
We work on a national show, the Dan Patrick Show, which you've been on many times. Nationally, no one's picking the Eagles. I don't know what the mood is like locally, but people aren't picking the Eagles. Do you sense people in Philadelphia think they can repeat?
Well, I think the fans in Philadelphia certainly think they can repeat. I think a lot of the media outlets are saying, Carson Wentz won't be playing. Nick Foles looked terrible in the preseason. You don't know what you're going to get from Darren Sproles and Jason Peters. And we just don't think they're going to be able to outlast Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, that Coleman, that running attack. And I can understand that, just because we saw how good Carson Wentz was last year and what he meant to this football team. But in my mind, the emotion of raising that banner, the emotion of our defense coming out, playing lights out football, getting after Matt Ryan, making it an uncomfortable feeling for him tonight, and our offense firing away in the second half will give us a chance to win this football game. It won't be easy. It'll be tough. But I think we'll have an opportunity, a chance to win it at the end.
Brian, when you grew up, were you always at the running back position when you played little grade school football? And who was your running back that you kind of modeled your style afterwards, or who you just loved watching?
Yes, really, for most of my career, I played running back, and I just continued to perfect my style. And I used to watch videos with Walter Payton, and the way that he trained with a headband and wristbands and running up and down the hill, the way that he ran. It was impressive. He was one of those guys that he didn't catch the ball a lot out of the backfield, but he did a good job of it when he had the opportunity. He did a good job blocking. He ran over people. He ran around people. And he ran away from people as well. It was a great example for me. Obviously, one of the best running backs in NFL history. But Walter Payton was that guy that I looked up to and watched the most.
Brian, you're talking to Paul, the biggest Walter Payton fan in the world. He named his daughter after Walter Payton. So I don't know. Did somebody feed you that information?
Daughter, I'm naming her Brian Westbrook.
That would have been cool.
Good for you,
We were
man.
talking-
I love Walter.
Brian, we were talking before the show.